Hey, thank you guys for joining us today. This is Tim and Rach back with you guys again with another Bush Group podcast, and it is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And in honor of Valentine's, we have got one of our number one NextHome agent friends, Next Homies, coming to us all the way from the West Coast today, Zach McReynolds with Sherry and Zach, Real Estate Rock Stars out of California. Zach, thanks so much for joining us on this podcast today.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Thanks for having me. It is Sherry and Zach, or she gets pissed if she hears that my name is first.
No, we
So,
definitely want to make sure and it's alphabetical too, like we C before Z. So Zach is an absolute rock star agent with Sherry out there in California. Last year at NextHome, they were the number one team out of all of NextHome nationwide. This year, we know that they're in the top three. We just don't know where in that rankings they fit. But whether you're in the top three or the top 10, if you're in the top of NextHome nationwide, you're doing something right. So Zach, we're just so grateful to have you on today to kind of share some knowledge about what's going on out in California and your market to our Next Homies here in Maine and our Next Homies across the nation too, because we get a lot of Next Homies that tune into this that are going to check in. So really been enjoying the course I've been doing with you on Thursdays. And last week you really kind of sparked my knowledge information. I was curious about what's going on with there when you started talking about your absorption rates and what the list to sold price ratio was going for and everything like that in California. How's the market going out there? I know you guys are kind of on a swing right now. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, definitely a lot of buyer activities picked up. I'm in Los Angeles County, but we're in the northern suburbs. We're kind of like our own thing. We are in our own little bubble. We're geographically protected by some mountains and kind of in our own little valley. And, my population is only 300,000 for my city. So we're pretty specialized, kind of niche, but this is happening throughout Southern California. Buyer activity picked up with the rates going down, and we've already been in low inventory. I mean, it's funny when, Facebook Memories pops up something from like 3 years ago and you're like, oh God, we have low inventory, and it was 700 listings. But today I'm sitting at 280. And we normally would average 300 a month sales. So obviously in a normal, that'd be pandemic, we would be less than a month of inventory. Now our numbers are down, but it's still not 2 months. I think you mentioned yours was like 1.6. Mine's probably right there right now. We're seeing volume pick up. Our pendings have really been picking up where we were averaging, 50 a week. The last couple of weeks, we've seen it hit 100. So things are coming off the board as far as active homes for our buyers faster than they're getting replenished. There's not enough inventory coming as fast as the things are coming off the board. So, it's happening. Multiple offers, on the listing side, on the seller side, who you hire still matters. I'm seeing stuff not sell right away, even though we're seeing things get multiple offers. So, good photos, good marketing, all those things still matter. And, you can really swing and miss on your price point. If the buyers don't see the value in your list price, you're not going to move. You're going to sit there and then you're fighting price reduction. So it's a very schizophrenic market. There's not a lot of houses while the buyers are picking up, but there's still stuff sitting on the market. I'm actually personally in escrow. I just bought literally on, what day are we on? On Friday, I opened escrow. I got a $25,000 credit to use for a rate buy down. I did the 2-1 buy down. So instead of getting a 6% for the first year, I'm getting a 4%. Second year, I'll get a 5%. And if rates don't come down somewhere in that year or two where I can refi, then it just hits the 6. Some people think it's an adjustable rate, but it's not. It'll max out at what the current rate is today, which would be 6.
Well, that's pretty awesome. No, that's great. So congrats on that. That's exciting to be doing that. And I know we were just talking to Russanne Larrabee actually with Next Mortgage about what she's getting creative with some of those buy downs as well, and some other local lenders that we've worked with. One of the things I found really interesting, and I was just telling Zach and Rach before we get on here, I'm really excited to see like what February's numbers are going to be, because I do think that the numbers we're looking at in Maine specifically right now are a little skewed, because I think we're on the peak, and kind of what you were talking about, Zach, and that course we're doing with you on Thursday. Like we're definitely trending. We were trending up, and I think it's going to head back right into the seller's market again. So when I say we're up, we were going from last year. Well, let's just go back to July. July was right around 21 days time on market, and we got all the way up to close to 50 time on market as of January for the average in the state of Maine. And I think that's about to start trending really far back down. We just had a listing that went live on Thursday. Um, Showings and everything over the weekend, open house. We had some great videography, great photos. Ended up going multiple offers on that listing, and we are under contract on that one as well. So that stayed on the market less than a week with multiple offers. So I do think we're going to start seeing those trends for February start coming right back down. But our absorption rate is going from, I mean, in January, in December, it was up to 1.9. Now it's down to 1.6. That absorption rate's getting lower and lower and lower, and we're seeing less people put those homes on the market. So I have a feeling when we all get back from conference, we're going to see a spring market really start to hit. Rach, what are you seeing down in Portland? Because obviously I'm in Bangor. We've got Zach out in the Los Angeles area, and Rach is in Portland, which is a really, even though it's 2 hours south of Bangor, it's a totally different Maine market.
It is. I mean, truly, it is. It is really just a different world down here. But I think Zach really hit a good point on the marketing piece down here, and I think that's kind of what we're starting to see. Great homes with a great price point and awesome marketing are going extremely quick within a weekend, 3 to 4 days, and that's just kind of what we saw last year. And I don't think a lot of people were expecting this year. So, Dan and I have shown up to a couple of open houses with some clients, and there's been 10 or 20 cars in the driveway, a super busy open house because you hire these really expert agents that know the area, know how they're pricing the home, and then really go in with a stellar marketing plan. It really all coincides with itself, and then it really just kind of burst the market there. So there are some homes that are still sticking on the market, and we are still seeing that. But granted, those are the homes that are being overlooked just due to price, marketing plans, photos and videos, all of that. But we're starting to see things warm up here, which is really nice. We've recently had a couple of really great homes hit the market, and I was actually just in a meeting this morning with some other local real estate agents here in the greater Portland area. And one of them actually, a couple of girls that were in the group, they had made a couple offers for some of their clients, and there was over 27 offers on just one of those listings, and it only had 2 days in the market. Another one here in Portland too. Again, we all kind of share what we're doing here, but one of the girls had thought about putting an offer in for herself on a home here in Saco. She had called the listing agent, and there was 148 showings booked for that home specifically, and already over 10 offers on the table. So things, if the right home comes on, if you've got the right plan with it, it works out really well. But I think it's going to be a different year. We're going to have to definitely switch ourselves and switch our strategies from where we were at in 21 and 22. But we can most definitely feel it warming up down here. It's good so far.
So I've got something on that, but I wanted to share with Zach a quick stat because Zach, this isn't normal for Maine, but it's really, really, really low. So our current active listed property in the state of Maine right now, so not active under contract, not coming soon, not pending, just straight active available as of today is 2,123 homes in the entire state of Maine. That is crazy low. So anyone who is thinking about buying or selling right now, the market is absolutely primed right now for sellers. The absorption rate's at 1.6. I mean, these aren't numbers we're making up to try to convince people to buy or sell. These are straight numbers from the MLS that dictate where the market's at. We're not creating our own, thoughts and analysis here. This is straight market analytics that everyone has in every single database. One of the things that I think is really interesting, and I'm curious to see what you guys have seen out there, Zach, for buyers over the last few years. One of the things I feel like we've seen here in this low inventory and high buyers is now they're like 3 years smarter. There are people that have been in this market for 3 years searching for homes, and they are extremely savvy with this process. They know it inside and out. They understand terms. They understand every single ounce of what that contract is. Do you feel that that's a disadvantage for some of your, newer buyers coming into the market this year that haven't been in that market? That, as an agent, what do you do that really separates that from the rest of the folks? I know you love working with buyers.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of sides to that. I think, if you're in the market and you're a productive agent, then you're feeling the nuances and the shifts in real time. And, everyone else is going to always be a little bit of like lag behind, right? So literally my market is changing right now in the last 14 days, like literally in real time. And I can feel it. 3 weeks ago, I could have got a credit I could have got a $25,000 credit. Where this week you have to pull the trigger on something, as it hits the market in the net within like 48 hours.
Yeah.
So I think that like latency, that lagging issue is hard because I think you kind of nailed it. We're not making the stuff up. The numbers are the numbers. I don't care if my market averages 300 sales a month. That would be normal for my city. I don't care if that number goes down to 5. If everything stops and we're only selling 5 houses a month, if there's only 10 houses on the market, we still have an inventory problem. Mm-hmm. So you could call that a buyer's market because only 5 people are buying houses. But if there's only 10 available, it's a seller's market. So when you talk about absorption rate, I think sometimes, it's hard to explain things to people in a way where it makes sense and they don't think that we're being salesy salespeople.
Right.
If I'm trying to express to you that this house is going to go fast because it's priced well, it's really nice, and we don't have a lot of houses on the market, and you think I'm just being pushy, well, when it's off the market in 3 days, you know what I mean? Like, so people got to learn their lessons their own way.
Yeah. And
I think because the market has been so chaotic over the, if we're really going back 2 years, like think about where we've been. I mentioned before we started today, I bought a house in the middle of the pandemic, sold it still in the pandemic, and it went up $500,000 in a year and a half. That's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. But I felt like prices were at the tip top. I got a listing near my old house. We sold it with multiple offers, went $100,000 over. And I was like, man, if I can get that for this house, like I'm out. I'll be out and I'll go figure out what to do next because I just felt like we were peaking out. And we did. And that's all just a byproduct of me being in the market, me understanding my market and just feeling what's going on in real time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of agents in our business and they don't all have the same expertise, and I study the stats, I pay attention to it because that is where you're going to get the facts from.
Right.
I'm not making stuff up. It's if you pay attention to the numbers, the absorption rate means how many sales versus how much active inventory. They say that that pendulum swing is 6 months of inventory. That means my market would have to get 1,800 houses just to turn to a buyer's market. I've been in real estate for 12 years. I've never even had 1,000 houses on the market. So I've lived in a 3.5 month of inventory my entire career.
Right.
So to be at 280 today, like that is mind blowing. Now it's even crazier. Last year when the market was crazy, at one point we got down to 108 houses for sale.
Wow.
We almost went under 100 and like that was crazy. But that's because everything was going so fast, right? Like everybody was snatching them up. Like the market was going crazy. We couldn't keep things on the market. But to say we had 1 week of inventory because we were averaging 400 closings a month then, again, if you're just paying attention to all this, it makes sense. And then you can kind of pass on the information. This is what I'm seeing in the market. Where do I think we're going? I think we're changing. I had a buyer, and I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but I had a buyer just 3 weeks ago. I showed him there was 6 of the same model on the market, which is actually pretty impressive that we had 6 of one model in one neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And, my price point obviously is a little higher than you guys, but there's a few of them. They're all around $850. Well, he didn't pull the trigger. He, literally came to me and said, I heard that the market's going to go down. I think I'm going to wait, to buy. Within days, all of those were gone. They all went pending. And then a new one popped up and came on for 900. So by not pulling the trigger on the one that he wanted, that same house went up $55,000 in like 3 days. Mm-hmm. So, and I felt it, right? But again, all I can say is what I think is going on, what I'm experiencing in the market. And because we are representing buyers and sellers, my business is always pretty much 50-50. I've never tried to focus on just sellers or just buyers because you're going to have the ebbs and flows of the market. But I'm in it on both sides, feeling it from all angles. And, this is where I thought we were going to be. Now, I was hopeful we get more inventory in my market. It's not coming yet, but we usually see a tick up after the Super Bowl. Like this really is when things start to ramp up and as we head into spring.
No, I agree. I think we thought we were going to have a little bit quicker of a spring market this year because the third and fourth quarter were a little bit more down compared to previous years. I think the interest rates were definitely the big player. In the end of last year, people were like, you know what? let's just wait it out. Let's see what's going to happen. There's a lot of elections going on right now nationwide. Let's see what happens and let's prepare for next spring. And one of the big trends I think we're seeing, Rachel and I have been talking about, is that over the last 3 years, we haven't had our clients really want to go into rental situations. It's been wanting to sell and buy, and they've wanted to own. But this year we're seeing that, hey, let's finally take advantage of the market and get into a rental situation. So we have a lot of clients that are like, it's time to sell. We really believe it's time to sell. We're going to rent for a year until we find that place we're really ready to move into. So we can, one, not have a contingency, and two, have 6 months to say, hey, this is exactly where we want. We don't feel rushed within 30 days to put something under contract in a week to just get a house. And I think that's a really strong point for buyers and sellers right now, is that renting isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with renting over this year while you're preparing to get into that final living situation of where you want to go. I'm really excited for March. I think March is going to be awesome. I'm seeing a huge uptick in our market, and I can't wait to see what these absorption rates and the days on market start doing, because like I said, I do think we're going to start trending in that other direction. The one interesting stat that I kind of want to share, and this doesn't really depict the seller's market, so it's I kind of want to send this to Uncle Keith and see what Uncle Keith Robinson has to say about this, because he's always got some great thoughts. But our sold to list price ratio went from, so all the way back to last February, it was right around 90, a little over 98%, and then it peaked right around May, June, and it got to close to 103 to 104% sold to list ratio. Now, from May till now, it's actually gone way down, and we're currently sitting around little over 94%, which that's kind of one of those tickers that everyone's kind of looking at, is, does that indicate a buyer's market in your area? I think to me personally, what that's indicating is a stale listing inventory. Like, we've got some inventory that's been sitting for a little while. They may not be marketed properly. They may not have the best photos. They may not giving themselves the best visual representation of what they could be. And I think that's the big question, is, can these homes maybe go back on the market at a later time in this year? Better marketing, better photos, better videography, and would they pop more? And it's a numbers game. If buyers are looking to come into these homes, can that number shoot up a little bit? I think we're going to finish this year closer to that 98 to 102 range, which is kind of where we've been standard over the past 3 years. Zach, what's yours looking like out there? I know you guys are a little bit higher than that. 94 is a little low for us.
Yeah, we're just under 100, like 98.9 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like a human temperature, 98.6. I'm personally averaging still close to 3% over asking. But again, I will chalk that up to, how we market our homes. I just think we're rather unique in that. I think a big product of what you're talking about too, is I saw that coming down, is when this happened on this house that I'm purchasing for myself, the sellers right now are holding on to what that high was back in March. Yeah. So when they go, oh, I was really hoping to get X, they're holding on to this number. Obviously, when rates went up, the market started coming down, and then for my market personally, a lot of buyers are sitting on the fence because nobody wants to buy if the market hasn't bottomed out yet. Right. So it's like became this, standoff of, I'm going to wait a little more. I'm going to wait a little more. I'm going to wait a little more, up until literally just still when rates just came down and we felt the little surge of buyers kind of jump back in the pool. I think that's when people realize, okay, in my personal market, my median has stayed the same for 6 months. Well, that means, and it's 10% lower than where our high was, which I'll call March here. So the high was March, we came down 10%, and for the last 5-6 months, it's barely fluctuated. It's like literally the same. Well, that means we're here. That means we've hit the bottom. If you're waiting for it to come down further, what was the fear before these rates came down? The fear was, if you wait any further, what if rates go up more? There was all these fears about rates still going up. At one point, people were talking about rates getting 8 to 10%, which that would have been scary and crazy, right? So, and then obviously, my view is going forward, if we're not already in a recession, we're obviously talking about it, but if we really get into a recession where it's official and they go, we're in a recession, the rates are going to come down at that point. They'll have to, because that'll be the opposite. That's what the Fed will have to do to battle the recession. In every recession we've ever had, rates have come down except in 2008, but the housing market drove the recession. So every other recession we've ever had, the Fed has to lower rates to get people to spend money again. So we're just in this weird thing of battling inflation. If we literally switch from battling inflation to battling recession, we might see the same weird swing we saw in rates. We might see it swing back down. I mean, not that I think we'll get back down to like in the twos. That'll never happen, but we could easily see rates come back down into the fours if they drop them because we're in an actual recession. So I think all of the volatility and everything kind of being up in the air, and, you know, it makes people scared. I'm buying a house and I'm scared. Who knows what's going to happen? You don't want to buy something and then, you know, it's worth 200 grand lower. That's a scary proposition.
Especially in our market where the average sale price is around 200. So, you know, we dropping down that. But no, in all seriousness, Zach, I love that you just said that you're buying a house. So my family personally, we bought our house back in July. We moved in July. So I think it's really a strong thing as a real estate agent to be able to look at our clients and say, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Like, I'm telling you, this is where the market's at. I personally put my family in this situation. Like, I bought when the rates were in the mid sixes. Like, I get it. So when we're talking to our clients about like, hey, this is a really serious, scary time for, you know, where the interest rate's at, I can relate to that. I get that. Like, that hits home to me. I'm really excited when a rate gets to the 4, so that way we're going to refinance because we married the house, we're dating the rate, we're really excited for that to drop down, and it's our forever play. Like,
and real estate isn't supposed to be short term.
No.
What I did with my other house, the fact it went up that much, that's not normal, but it happened. So, you know, do I ride it out or do you cash out, take your money? I actually went to go rent. I couldn't get a rental. My rental market was so hot. I had 3 different ones I applied for. I didn't even get a call back. So I bought a house that I didn't necessarily want to buy.
What is the average cap rate on some of the rentals you've got out there for investors? Like, what do you guys normally see?
It's pretty tough because pricing is so high. You know, if you're cash, you can still do okay, but it's tough. The rental market came down a little bit too because I was really peaking out. I mean, some of the rental prices out here over the last 2 years were wild. But I think that was a product of way too many buyers were in the market not getting their offer accepted. I mean, I had a property that had 50 something offers at one point. And that's 49 people that didn't get a house. Like, that's crazy. So I think they all flooded there. I think a lot of people gave up and flooded into the rental market, drove rental prices up, and the competition on that drove that. So we're seeing that come back down. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, I know people that want a 20%. You know, you're not going to get that. Probably 10 to 12 if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we've been in a great area for that right now just because there's not a lot of new construction in our area up here. So there's not a lot of expansion. The new construction we see is primarily like a homeowner going to a piece of land and building. It's not like not an investor coming in and building out subdivisions. That does happen, but it's a little bit rarity. So, I mean, we've seen some cap rates, you know, as low as 6 all the way up to 18 to 20 throughout this year. But I feel like the cap rates have been really, really positive for the homeowner on that sense. So, yeah, it's been interesting watching the cap rates as well throughout this. Obviously, wasn't an investment piece for real estate today, but while we got Zach on, I can't help but ask an investment question.
But, well, and if the market gets tough and inventory gets tough and you have people that have a hard time being contingent, keep the house.
Right.
You know, keep it, turn that into a rental,
go
buy the next one. I tell people the wealthiest people I've met doing this, you know, in this business, I've done some of the things I used to be in retail, are people that get to the end of the retirement age and they have multiple properties. Because again, real estate isn't short term, it's long term. You're with inflation and just 30 years, your house is going to be worth more money. So if you can get 4 or 5 under your belt, by the time you get to the end, you're going to have some money to either they're all paid off and you have rental income coming in monthly that can support you through retirement, or you could sell them all and, you know, move to wherever, buy something cash and have some money in the bank. So the people I see and, you know, regular working folk that get to retirement age, you know, 7, 8 properties in my area, you're a millionaire. Mm-hmm. You know, if you got 7 properties, my median is 720 right now, 730. So, you know, do the math on that. Like, you're doing pretty good if you got $700,000 properties.
I wasn't great in math, but I can do that math real quick, and that's a lot of money. So
It's like 5 mil.
yeah, that's real quick. I can always equate numbers when they're in the sevens to easy football. Like I can do football numbers real quick. I can get to a final score. Oh,
That was a good game. We had a good Super Bowl this year. That was a good
that
Super
was a
Bowl.
lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. I had a blast. I had no dog in the fight on that one. Like there was nothing like New England. We've had the last 20 years. Like we're good now, so we get to watch the rest of the country enjoy the games finally.
Right.
But I was rooting for you guys early on in the playoffs. I wanted to see San Fran get there out from the West Coast. But you're probably a Rams fan, anyways. I bet.
I'm a basketball guy, so when it
Okay.
comes to football, and I do enjoy football. I don't really have a team. LA, we've been right there. My LA's like kind of screwed us. We've had the Raiders come and go, the Rams come and go, so I'm kind of a whatever fan. I've been to a few Rams games. That new stadium's pretty sick,
That's awesome.
but I honestly, I was pulling for Burrow. I just think he's a bad dude, and then once they got to the Super Bowl, I was down for Mahomes to get another one. I want to see him beat Brady. So
Well, unfortunately, he's never going to get to beat Brady. Brady retired before he could lose to him. So I think Brady just lost to Dallas and was like, that's it. Like, career's over. Like, not coming back. But it's, we get, I just want to see Brady retire as a Pat. Like, New England, bring him back, retire, 1 day contract. Let's get our guy in
right.
the ring of, in the Hall of Fame up there with our man Brewski and all the other legends. But no, Zach, we're so grateful for you coming on today, man. I can't tell you how excited I've been in the Thursday class I've been doing with you. That's been awesome. Really enjoyed your perspective. And I know our next homies here in Bangor are super stoked to get you and Sherry up on stage at conference so we can listen to you guys chat at conference and hear what you guys have to say. I'll give you to end it off, Zach, and give you the mic again.
I think I'm done. What else?
No, I love it. Hey, our Mainers or anywhere else watching around the country, if you're moving to LA, hit up our friends Sherry and Zach out there on the West Coast. They will be able to connect you, even if it's not LA. They know everyone out there, so connect you to all points in between. So we're just really grateful for having you on today, Zach. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. Thanks for sharing your time, mostly. And we hope that maybe we can have you back at some point throughout this year when you guys are talk about maybe where that market's changed a little bit this summer for you.
For sure, brother. No, my pleasure. Anytime. I love getting to my office as days breaking. 6:45 a.m. No
Yes,
big deal.
thank you for that. We are very grateful that you jumped on this morning tell Sherry thank you for letting you get out of the house early on Valentine's Day. So I bet she's got a big surprise waiting at home. Like she probably has the house all decorated for you.
We actually don't
Okay.
live together. I'm buying a house on her street. I've been trying to get her neighbor to sell to me for like literally years, and he won't. And then we found an off-market one, so I'm 5 doors from her. That's the house I'm at.
Perfect. I love it.
But we've been business partners for 12 years, and we've been dating now for 5, and then I just proposed. But, I got kids, she's got kids. This has been working for us, so we're keeping it weird, and we're not moving in together yet.
Hey, it's only weird.
I
It's
love
only
it.
weird if you want it to be weird. It's your situation, and we love it. You guys are rocking it, and it's working for you. Why change
It's
it?
working. Yeah, I don't want to jinx
No,
it.
don't
We're
jinx
good.
it.
That's
You already like overkicked your coverage on this one anyway, so don't risk this one.
Some say she's overkicked hers.
Not many, a few, but not many. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zach. Rach, thanks again. Rach, make sure Dan takes you out for a nice dinner tonight on Valentine's Day. And we can't wait to see you guys on the next one. So tune in. And as always, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Facebook. And drop us some comments below for what you guys want to see for coverage here. So as always, we love our fans here with the next homies around the country. And we can't wait to connect with you guys at conference. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, guys.
Beers on me, conference.
You heard it.